evening, everyone. Ambassador John Negroponte, the chairman of INSA, and myself and the team, the INSA team, and the extended team, we welcome you to the 5th Annual INSA Achievement Awards. It's our privilege tonight to recognize 6 outstanding members of the intelligence community and the private sector for their contributions to our national security. This is a special event for INSA, and we are delighted you could join us to recognize the 2014 recipients. I'm sure you'll be impressed by their stories, and we'll be hearing from each of them this evening. One of the unique and exciting aspects of the Achievement Awards is bringing these rising leaders in the intelligence community and national security communities together with those who have helped shape and influence today's intelligence community. And I'd also like to welcome 3 former William Oliver Baker Award recipients for whom tonight's awards are named. The Honorable Joan Dempsey, the Honorable Richard Kerr, and retired Admiral Bill Studeman. We're so pleased to have you here to recognize these professionals. Well, Charlie gets a special one. No, I bet Charlie is a senior advisor for INSA, and Charlie gets a special recognition at the end of this presentation. We're so pleased to have you here to recognize these professionals who are following the examples you have set. Also, a special welcome to our guest of honor and keynote speaker, Lieutenant General Mary Legier, U.S. Army Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence, and a great mentor for so many military officers and civilians over her distinguished career. Mary, General Legier, it's an honor having you here tonight. General Legier, we appreciate your active participation at past INSA events, including our summit in September with AFCEA, and we look forward to hearing your remarks later on. Let me also welcome INSA's friend and mine, Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper. You know, it really says a lot about you and your leadership, Director Clapper, that you would make the time to be here tonight. We appreciate your long-standing support of INSA and the Achievement Awards. And I would be remiss not to mention and commend you for your recent efforts that helped deliver 2 Americans home from North Korea. You know, we mentioned that I can't think of a more difficult mission and the perfect person to take on that mission than Director Clapper, to go to the DPRK, North Korea, and return with those 2 Americans who must have been living in hell. Kenneth Bay for 2 years, Matthew Miller for 6 months, and then to come home again because of this gentleman. We owe you a great deal of gratitude, sir, and we're so proud to be with you this evening. Let's hear it again. INSA would like to thank the companies that have helped make this dinner possible, including our Liberty sponsor, PwC. Thank you so much, as well as BAE Systems for sponsoring the welcome reception. Let's hear it for BAE. There you go. Registration sponsor, Northrop Grumman, and the dessert sponsor, Spadaro and Associates. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. And I want to give a special call out and a special thanks to a man I've worked with for many years, the Honorable Charlie Allen. Let me say this, and I don't want to embarrass Charlie Allen. I've worked with him for many years. He is one of our 2 senior advisors at INSA. He's at every meeting. He's running a council. He's the most dedicated professional I've ever worked with. Charlie, it's an honor being with you this evening and sharing the dinner and this event with Director Clapper, General Legere, and the whole team. Thank you, Charlie. We'll start the program now, and it's a great program. We're going to be meeting 6 outstanding young officers who have done some outstanding work, and I think it's going to be very uplifting for all of us. This is a very special event for INSA and the team in this room, so it's great. But I'd like to start this, the formal side, the substantive side of our presentation, asking that Director James Clapper come up and speak to the team for a few minutes, sir, and give us your views.
Well, my opening line at our staff meeting Monday was, anybody go anywhere this weekend? I'm not going to talk too long because, I could go on for quite a bit about, a great war story. I'll just say that I'll share with you what a tremendous feeling it was when we landed at McCord. I went up in the cockpit and watched the reunions. And it was gratifying and emotional for me. And no other country on the planet will go to the lengths that we go to take care of our people. I will tell you, it was kind of a stressful thing because there was no guarantee whatsoever that we were going to get them. And they kind of stretched out the agony there all day Saturday until all of a sudden everything fell into place. We got them and we booked, which was great. The second point I'd make is that in one sense, I appreciate all the great cards and letters and emails and things that people have said here tonight, but in one sense, I was simply the hood ornament for an effort that had gone on and was worked hard by a lot of people. One of whom is in the audience, is here tonight, and that's Joe Detrani. So Joe, thanks to you. This whole thing was kind of a building block thing, and one of the early building block builders was Joe. So, Joe made very gracious comments about why I would be here tonight. Well, this is not a chore, not a duty. It's something I wanted to do because what this represents, these 6 awards, are our future in the intelligence community. And now that I'm in my dotage in 1 foot in assisted living, I realize more than ever the importance of the future, and the future is our people. And so these 6 awardees, who are outstanding in every respect, represent our future. And there are lots of others out there like them. And so it was an honor. It's an honor for me to be here to help recognize those 6 awardees. And of course, I think it's very appropriate that they are getting awards named after recipients of the Baker Award, some of whom are here tonight. So it's a real honor for me to be seated at the table with some giants in the community: Charlie Allen, Bill Studeman, Dick Kerr, just to name those 3. And of course, all of those, the 3 of them were mentors to me. And then Joan, of course, intimidated me. We have, up until recently, we had 2 women directors of 2 of our major agencies, Tish Long up until very recently, and Betty Sapp, director of the NRO. Well, they will both tell you they owe a debt of gratitude to Joan, who early pioneer for women. Now, the real reason Joe got me up here, though, is, and I'm going to get off, is to be the warm-up act for our principal speaker, Mary Legere, speaking of Power Women. And of course, I make a big thing about it being deferential to Power Women because when they take over, I hope they'll remember me. Now, I'm not going to go into a great long bio of Lieutenant General Mary Legere. Mary and I go way back. I first knew her when she was a colonel. And she is just a tremendous intelligence officer. Not because she's a woman, and that's not why she's here tonight. That's not why she's G2 of the Army. It's because of her professional competence and her leadership as an intelligence officer. So that's all I think I need to say about Mary. Mary, come on up.
You know, in the Army, we leave nothing to chance, and as I'm sitting there listening to him, hoping that he would introduce me with my favorite introduction, which is when I was in 7th grade, I was voted most likely to take over a third world country. And I am on schedule. But I'm sitting there with my, you know, and the Army guys were all doing the same thing, our rehearsals, and I was like, I have no idea how you get up on that stage, and I may have to vault up in the skirt. So thank you, Director Clapper, General Clapper and Director Clapper for that introduction, and thank you, INSA, for the stairs. And ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mr. Allen, distinguished guests, honorees, good evening and welcome. And thank you for coming out on a night where weather wasn't great, cold has arrived, but clearly what is the highlight of the INSA schedule. You know, since I returned back from overseas, I was gone for almost a decade. It seemed like I was in Korea for a long time, cleaning up behind my DNI mission manager, Ambassador Detrani. And the former J2, who, by the way, the first time he met me, he said, you know, I did a lot on this peninsula. This was General Clapper, who was at that point, I believe he was the, he was at NGA, or NEMA and then NGA, and he said, just don't screw the place up. But in any event, I was gone for a long time, and I actually, will be honest with you, I didn't know exactly what INSA was. But over the past few years, on the largesse of first Mr. Chuck Alsop and then Ambassador Detrani, just because I guilted him into it, I get an invitation, and I generally don't have to pay. And they said as soon as I retire, I will have to pay. But so I'm taking advantage of it now, and I really absolutely enjoy coming, and I was absolutely thrilled to be included tonight and to be asked to say a few words, because as all of you sense, this is the most special evening. This is the evening where we see what's coming behind us, the incredible talent that fills the ranks of our intelligence and national security communities. So very excited to be here. Beats the alternative. I was in the Air Force Army warfighter talks all day today, and I was just dreaming of being here. Now, I did try to explain to my 88-year-old father, who at some point called today. I said, Dad, I really would like to talk. As your only daughter and your only hope for early retirement, I'd like to have a conversation with you. Got to get ready for this. And he said, well, what's INSA? And I said, I didn't know how to describe it. I said, Dad, it'd be the equivalent of a Star Wars convention for Trekkies. I said, this is where Intel geeks and national security people that have jobs, once had jobs, aspire to have jobs. It's where we go. And then I said, Dad, it would be like, you know, ethical hackers at Black Hat in Las Vegas. And I get this pause. He goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I did describe what I had to look forward to. And he is an educator and somebody that was clearly my most important influence. Or as I tell him, you're the part of me that's impatient and detailed-oriented. Mom is the person that people like. She's in me as well. But I said that what you like about tonight is this is a group of people where we're gonna be here tonight. We're gonna have wonderful conversations. There's gonna be great energy. There's gonna be great camaraderie, and of course, there's gonna be like the most magnificent desserts. And they were unusually terrific tonight. I actually like to sit at tables not with the head table because you can count on one person not showing up. And if the waitresses are not paying attention, you can get 2 desserts. Now, I will say I'd like to be able to tell you what I had in my notes was I've never been up here before. And in addition to all those wonderful things I've said about all you, I was going to say you're also a really good-looking group, which is unusual. But I cannot say that because in some cases, it's not true. In the other cases, I realize I can't see you at all. So I did tell the people in the back that if I see anybody who gets on telephones while I am talking, which I find very rude, I will come back. But I can't actually see you, but I do have Army people out there. And so we are the Walmart of the intelligence community. If you throw a rock, you're going to hit an Army person. So in any event, I'm very, very happy to be here. For those of you who aren't good looking but are smart and got in on the sports scholarship, you look great too. Tonight is really special, and you spend just a little bit of time going over the people that are going to be honored tonight, and you just have to be amazed. My staff had the opportunity to run the intelligence operations on the people you're going to meet tonight. We observed, yes, Dr. Cambone, every intel oversight law that you created. But it is an amazing group, and I believe as you get to know their stories, representative of what all of us believe in, this group, so eclectic and yet so similar, their dedication, their talent, where they're from, why they've chosen to be public servants is really going to amaze you. And yet they're no different than the people that they go to work with. They're no different than the 30 others that have been honored in the 5 years that you've been doing it. So to be here tonight to introduce you to these 6, and yeah, settle in, because I mean, I really leave nothing to chance. But we're gonna honor them, and it's my privilege to introduce them. I will say a couple of special thanks. First, or special welcomes. First, I'd like to welcome the families who accompanied our guests of honor tonight. You know, some people come into life with some unfair advantages, and I have to say, having met all of you in the short period that we had in the last hour, that it is very clear to me why your children, why your loved ones are here today. They have come into our intelligence community, our national defense community, with some very, very, a tremendous foundation. So I thank the moms and dads, the husbands and wives, the girlfriends. We did manage to get the girlfriend and the wife off the same table, which I think is helpful. It's words to grow by. And I also want to welcome the honorees who are sitting there. I went over their speeches with them. I said, you know, I know this crowd. By about 9:30, they will have had enough to drink whatever you say. It's not going to matter. It's a little bit like the Peanuts, you know, and, you know, when the adults are talking, I said, just get up there, thank your parents, because you want to be in the will. And then just thank INSA, you want to be in the will. And then just get off. But in any event, I would like to also thank all of and congratulate all of you and welcome you. We've already introduced the previous winners. We've already introduced those icons and those members of the community, you know, Joan Dempsey, Admiral Studeman, Mr. Kerr, who have meant so much to us and by whose careers have been an inspiration and whose continued service to all of us still inspired us. But I would like to ask you to give them one more round of applause this evening. Thanks for the work that you continue to do. And for those of you who are card-carrying and dues-paying members of INSCOM, to Ambassador Detrani, to the Honorable Mr. Allen, to the entire INSA team that made tonight possible, thanks for including me. I know that because we had the big celebration on the mall on Tuesday, you had a shot at Beyonce, but I was number 2. I was your standby. Put a ring on it. And I've just, I want to thank you. What I have come to appreciate as I've learned about INSA, because I actually have done that, is what you foster in this community, the collaboration, the bringing people together that are solving the difficult issues is absolutely essential. And that community that you continue to foster amongst the leaders of our agencies and academics in the industry and the practitioners of every generation is really important, because we have so much serious work to do, and we have to have the relationships to make that work possible. So I thank you, INSA, for that. That is really your charter. I think no one does it better, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. So let's give INSA a round of applause. There's one other group that, actually I want to thank, and that's the industry and those partners that are here tonight, some of whom, like Proud Parents, have people that will come up here and be recognized, but also whose generosity and commitment to this organization make evenings like this possible. So thank you for that. The work that you do, the partnerships that you have with the services, the agencies, with our labs is essential. And having traveled the world and looked at other industrial partners as they interact with their intelligence communities, I realized how special ours is. What it translates for those of us who are in uniform is a tangible national security advantage. And so I want to thank you in a way that you should be thanked from time to time for your continued attention to our needs. Our community is better for your participation, and I thank you for your commitment. Now, in a recent address, not one that I'll quote, and not one I generally paraphrase with Director Clapper, who one of these days will take me to someplace exciting, but I guess North Korea didn't qualify either. He's been quoted often as saying that in his lifetime, which spans a pretty good amount of time, that he's never really experienced or seen such a wide range of uncertainty and instability. And frankly, because I'm sitting next to him, I'm not going to take issue with that. I'm a political science major. He outranks me by about 5,000 light years. So I'm not going to argue, but I think it's pretty clear for those of you that think about these things. These are very challenging and dangerous times. And the burdens and responsibilities of everyone in this room and all the organizations that you represent are just really profound. It really only takes a scan of your BlackBerry, and again, that's just a test. I can see in your eyes if you're jotting for your stock option at this point. But you can look at your BlackBerries and PDAs and read the headlines, and you see the crisis in Syria as it spirals across the region. You see the rise of ISIS. You see this Russian incursion continuing in the Ukraine. You see Al-Qaeda, not that they're back, but they never really left. You see the enduring and those increasing fault lines in the Middle East and North Africa. You see the specter and the potential for what will happen in unconstrained cyber warfare, the potential for mass destruction, and these tenuous transitions that we see in Afghanistan and other countries which are really just trying to find their way to good governance. And it's really clear that we in this national security and intelligence space are in a growth industry, and we have very important work to do. For our generation and the generation of young men and women that we'll honor tonight, the volatility will be our norm. This will be the world that we will have to deal with, and we will have to continue to do our best, every one of us, to make sure we do everything possible to keep our citizens safe, to protect our country, and to protect those around the world who count on us for that. And I would be, you don't want to be depressed about that, but I am not depressed, because it is the 6 awardees tonight that give me hope, that will remind you and remind all of us that whatever the challenge that we face, we're up to it. It is appropriate then, once in a while, as we consider all the heaviness of our lives, to think about what Director Clapper said. Our community is about our people. Our people are the best in the world. Our people, through the generations, are getting better and better. And tonight you're going to meet 6 of the most amazing people. And what's really amazing is they've got friends, and they've got friends, and they've got friends, and they're just like it. So tonight, let's celebrate them. You know, as I prepared for tonight, I was reminded of probably my favorite quotation, and you've all heard it. Some of you may have been there when President Eisenhower actually made this statement. I don't know. For me, it's just history. But it is a familiar quote. But for the moms and dads who have given us their sons and daughters to this profession, I do think it's important to recite as we start tonight, because I think more than anything else, it captures the purpose of our evening. And what President Eisenhower said was this, that in the work of intelligence, heroes are undecorated and unsung, even among their own fraternity. Their inspiration is rooted in patriotism. Their reward can be little, except the conviction that they're performing a unique and indispensable service for their country with the knowledge that America needs and appreciates their efforts. That is the quotation that every day as the commander of INSCOM greeted me as I came in the door. That is the quotation when I thought of the sacrifice of our soldiers and our intelligence professionals around the world, of all of the work that is done that I think about, that renews my strength. Tonight we're going to honor 6 such unsung heroes, great patriots whose contributions to our community already mean so much. We're going to recognize them not just for the things that they've accomplished, which are just going to make you want to go to work tonight, and, well, maybe not. But maybe tomorrow you'll work a little harder. But when you hear about what they've accomplished, but also most importantly, in recognition of the vast potential that they have and what they're going to bring to us as they continue in their careers as leaders, role models, and mentors now and in the future. So it's now my pleasure to tell just a few of their stories. The first person I'm going to talk about, our first award winner, is Supervisory Special Agent Amy B. Pittman, who I'd like if Amy's here. Yeah, Amy's nervous. We've had a talk. Amy is the winner of the Joan Pittman Mentorship Award for 17 years. She's been with the FBI, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., and she's honored tonight having won the distinction as our community's most gifted and promising mentor. Because like all of her honorees, you're going to discover that Amy has a passion. And her passion is not just her husband and her terrific kids and her country, but it's for her organization and it's the development of the people that she works with. A little bit about Amy. You're going to pick up on some themes. All these people went to the same high school. She's a native of upstate New York. And believe it or not, that beautiful blonde was actually a state trooper in the Georgia State Patrol. So I'm thinking that's a conversation. Then she joined the FBI. She is also a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan, who by her own admission bleeds Buffalo Bills red, white, and blue, thus knows the value of persistence and agony. She graduated from Western Kentucky State University, and she's working on her master's. She's a wife, she's a mom, she's an intelligence professional, she's a daughter, and tonight she's joined by her mother, who she describes, along with Mother Teresa, as the most important influence in her life. So Nancy Harradine, please stand up and let us recognize you. Now, having checked with my intel oversight and I couldn't get the FISA warrants, I actually just reached out to people's friends. And from some emails from her coworkers, my staff found this to be the most descriptive. She's described as a person, a superior leader, mentor, and coach, whose passion for intelligence and public service is exceeded only by one thing, and that's her enthusiasm for the development of her people. What's great about Amy is that she takes the long view in leader development. She knows the IC is actually dependent on the talent of junior intelligence professionals coming along through the ranks. And she takes it upon herself and takes pride in engaging, encouraging, and advising her subordinates and her peers to ensure they have the best opportunity to reach their potential. At the end of the day, if you ask Amy, she values her subordinate success more than anything else in the world. And she does all that she can in the execution of her very serious missions to provide and project a positive leadership climate for them to emulate. And so tonight, Amy, I can't think of an award that is more tailor-made for you from a woman, and you don't have to get up yet. I think I'm just going to get to talk. She's like, is it time yet? No. See how sensitive I am to that? See, Ambassador Detrani would have had you up here. But she's going to read she will receive the award named for Joan A. Dempsey, who did scare Director Clapper, because I used to watch that and think it was pretty funny. But in truth, I was a lieutenant colonel, and she scared me a little bit too. But Joan A. Dempsey, one of the most important pioneers to all of our intelligence community. Amy, there's no one more deserving, and we're so proud of you. So please join me in a round of applause for Amy. Now, our second award winner, and I'll have to use my glasses, and I will be able to see him from the nuclear glow, who is the winner of the Sidney Dell Academic Award for Scholastic Contributions to the National Security Community. And his name is Mr. Craig J. Weiner, who today serves as the National Senior Advisor for the National Nuclear Security Administration for Defense Programs. In this capacity, Craig supports the Department of Energy and his interagency partners in an effort to develop and implement qualitative improvements to the physical and virtual security of our nuclear arsenal. So I know what you're thinking. You have a pretty important job. You don't want this man to have an off day. That's what you're thinking. Craig is a native of New York. He's a graduate of NYU, a Rhodes Scholar. He has one thing that I can't overlook. He's a Yankees fan. Giving him dispensation for this evening. Keep it up. And he also, as part of his responsibilities, he serves as the advisor of the Air Force Research Lab on C4ISR and cyber defenses. But he's been selected tonight for the work he's doing as an academic, because in addition to all those things that he should be doing on a full-time basis, he's also a graduate teaching assistant and lecturer for security and intelligence at George Mason University, where he serves with General Hayden, or actually serves for General Hayden, or does General Hayden's work. We weren't actually able to figure out what that was. General Hayden is not here tonight, I hope. He's never liked me, so I don't think that's changing. But in any event, but he does, in addition to trying to, in addition to getting married to the most beautiful woman that he met while he was teaching, but it was perfectly legal. We covered that tonight. In addition to trying to finish his own dissertation, which will be done, Craig, because now you're on my speed dial. He is managing 25 master's and PhD students' research and lending his really dazzling intellect to help lift their game and lift their work. And they're doing amazing research in national security intelligence studies. And Craig, for that, we thank you. I remember my master's committee. You have more going on in one finger than my entire group of 6. I just want to say that. You know, the other thing that I want to point out to all of you is when I was thinking about Craig and what he must think about at night as a liberal arts major who watched Sports Center, I just can't even imagine if we could ever have a conversation. He's married to he's newlywed. He's married to this beautiful woman who I met tonight. Her name is Rachel. And Rachel, yeah, she's the DHS policy analyst for chemical counterterrorism. So that's a dinner engagement you want to have. I said, what would we talk about? He said, well, I don't know, I'll read People magazine before you come over, so we can relate. But I I was intrigued by his story. I was intrigued by all the stories, but I was particularly intrigued by Craig's decisions and why he served. And so I asked my staff to reach out to him. And I want to share a little bit of this, and I hope, Craig, you don't mind. Because I am always struck by the talented people I meet everywhere in this community. And I am always struck that all of you have other options. And in the case of Craig, with his credentials in life, you would know that anyone would like to have him on their team. And yet, these are the choices that he's making. And the more you get to know Craig, you understand he has no choice, because this is his family, and this is their tradition. Their family arrived, like many of ours, in the 1880s with an immigration wave. And for 5 generations, people in Craig's family have been serving either in the military or the government. And their stories are really amazing. And I wish I had hours to tell them, but I won't. So I'll give you the Reader's Digest. But there was a great uncle, Tom, who was a soldier. And he was a soldier in the Lost Battalion of World War I. And for those of you like General Oates and myself who know the story of this unit that for days was surrounded and whose soldiers were being pummeled with chemical attacks and who very few made it out. Your uncle, your great uncle, did make it out and went on to lead a productive life in spite of all the damage that he suffered, and taught, I suspect, his great nephew a great deal about service. And then there was World War II Uncle George, you know, right place, wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. A sailor in the United States Navy on the USS West Virginia, which was moored alongside the USS Arizona on December 7th, 1941. And so what Craig learned from his uncle, who survived the 30-hour ordeal in the water, while men that he loved, that he served with, were fighting for their lives, and in some case losing that fight, was about perseverance, love, and dedication to their comrades. And I can imagine those stories must have had an impact on you. And then there was Uncle Jerry, an Air Force, you know, they liked every service. They stand for every service song. There is a Marine in Guadalcanal, but I'm not talking about that. Uncle Jerry, Air Force navigator, World War II, and the Korean War. Also, aircraft, as they often did back then, landed in the drink. He spent a while they were trying to find him, but happily went on for a long career, retired, went into industry, and assisted in the development of the F-14 and J-Stars, you know, 2 incredible platforms. But probably the one that I like the most, the one that I think is closest to you, Craig, because I don't know where, you know, I know there was a day that God gives out talent for math and science, and my entire family missed that day. But your entire family got more than you needed. But Craig's grandfather in World War II was part of a unit that was on its way for deployment. But Craig's grandfather had a particular brilliance for math and science. And he was selected out, and it was fortuitous because the men that did deploy did not return in great number. But Craig's grandfather was sent to Yale, and he was told, get a degree, make it fast. And I don't know whether we had it right, but a 4-year degree in less than a year, because they needed him to do something very special for us. And that was to go out and take charge of a radar, a top secret radar organization that would protect one of the most sensitive facilities that we had, that would create a capability that would bring an end to the Second World War. Pretty heavy stuff for somebody that works in the nuclear business, pretty heavy stuff for the grandson to know that this is what your grandfather did. And it was years before you could hear the whole story, and you probably haven't heard it all. But I think you could think about that and think about in the 4 generations of Craig's family, the contributions that these made. So I don't think you had a choice somehow. I think at some point the DNA was going to kick in. And as you told me, you really look no further than your family photo albums and the memories and the stories to know there was a signpost in your life that was going to lead you to this point. So Craig, tonight we're going to honor you for everything that you're doing to raise those great masters and PhD folks to come and work for us. And thank you for your dedication and everything that you and your wife do for us. Ladies and gentlemen, our winner tonight, Craig and his wife, please stand. Director Clapper, I still have the GI Bill. I may go back to school thinking I'm not going to have him for my professor. And I know after this, General Hayden's not going to let me in GMU. Okay. Our third award winner and the recipient of the Richard Kerr Government Award is Mr. David Wilson of the National Security Agency. And where is David and his tremendous family? They're all computer programmers. So this is hard for mom and dad, who taught him code when he was 3. There were punch cards in his crib. He has a beard because if he didn't have a beard, they would have carded him. But David is a local kid. He is a local kid, and his dad worked at the Pentagon and told me tonight, he said, yeah, I worked for General Odierno. I said, oh, I hope it worked out better for you than it is for me. But David, a 2001 Townsend University graduate with a degree in computer science, came to us to public service in the way that many of us do. I think you worked for industry while you were in college and, made enough money to pay for the surfboard. But you said to yourself, as all people from Townsend University do, I need something spiffy for my resume. I think this internship would be kind of cool. And David, I don't know, I told all of them tonight I was just going to make stuff up. But he did. There was something about this internship might look good on my resume, and that began the adventure that leads us here tonight. Because tonight, David is being recognized for his exemplary contribution to mission analytics that have not only had an impact on the National Security Agency, but on our entire community. He, as I said, is a native of Waldorf, Maryland. He is apparently a rabid fan of all the teams here locally. I'm from New England. I feel bad about that. And he's joined today by his mom and dad, who, in addition to passing on some serious coding skill, and I think his sister is here, and a few siblings that you actually like, and who kept you competitive, if you'll admit it. You wanted to be the #1 coder in the family. If you meet just for a few minutes his mom and dad, you'll understand that David had everything he needed to succeed the day he was born. If you talk to David's coworkers, which we did, about what he's doing and the impact that he's having, the response that you're going to get is very simple and universal, and I think the NSA folks, all of whom are introverts and staring at their shoes right now, look up, see me. What they'll say is that if you want to talk about analytics, if you want to talk about computer programming, if you want to talk about big data, and there apparently are people that want to talk about that, I don't happen to be one of them. And you want to talk about the biggest ideas and the best solutions, then you want to talk to David. And if you want to talk about the person that is going to help our community get where it needs to go to create this vision that we have of being able to share seamlessly, not only with each other, but with our partners, you're going to talk to David. Which is pretty remarkable when you think about the beautiful and the amazing minds and the best mathematicians and engineers that he works with every day, that he has been singled out by his tribe for this award tonight. So, as somebody said, Facebook has, that guy with the sweatshirt. Google has Larry Page. Jay-Z has Beyonce. The Patriots have Belichick. And NSA has David, and so do the rest of us. David, you're part of a team, and I know you give them great credit, but what they give you is the credit for the genius of your mind and your willingness to serve. And so tonight, you're going to be recognized. So David, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, your beautiful, I guess, younger sister, and the entire silent team from NSA who are cheering in their own way, we'd like to congratulate you on this award and ask you and your parents and your family to stand to be recognized. Our fourth honoree is Joshua Markle, who is our recipient this evening for the Edwin Land Industry Award, which is presented to honor the exemplary contributions for national security from industry partners. Joshua is particularly special to me, and you'll understand why. He's the chief engineer for Army Airborne and Terrestrial SIGINT Solutions. He is the chief engineer for Northrop Grumman. And you're going to, in his short life, he has brought his brilliance and his accomplishments as an engineer to pioneer capabilities that we needed in the Army at the right place at the right time to make an improvement to our ISR systems that made the difference in people's lives. He is an electrical engineer with degrees from the University of Texas, Georgia Tech, because he's like a few of you tonight, he's a military brat who everybody calls Texas home. It's the good default. Your parents ended up in the middle. But he is a passionate engineer whose dad was an electrical engineer. Dad was in the Air Force, got his PhD, no pressure to you at all. And from what my staff was able to conclude, was apparently was famous for lulling you to sleep with lullabies and descriptions of how to build FM radios and microwaves that wouldn't blow up, at least when your mother was around. So he too comes from this incredible family, impressed by his own parents' dedication to their country, impressed by his father's love of engineering. And again, I missed the day they handed out all those extra genes. Joshua went into the Air Force to learn and to experience life for himself. And he spent some time during that formative period learning about signals intelligence and radar and its potential and what it might do if they just let you redesign it. He then left for industry because the Air Force really discourages you taking things apart and just doing things your own way. So it was probably good that you did that. And Northrop Grumman, lucky enough to grab you. Where we meet in our path is where we have a system called Guardrail, Guardrail X. And Guardrail, when General Clapper and I were younger, took 3 aircraft to get the DF that made the difference. But with people like David, and David in particular, you figured out a way to calibrate it so one chip, one DF. Soldiers' lives are saved by that technology every day. People return to their families because you took your passion for engineering, your understanding of what SIGINT could do, and your knowledge that our soldiers needed something faster, quicker now. And you made that happen. David, you're being recognized for that, or Joshua, you're being recognized for that tonight. And on behalf, as the Army G2, on behalf of the thousands and thousands of soldiers, the thousands of missions that were mission accomplished because of the work that you did, and the hundreds and thousands of soldiers who returned safely to their loved ones after their many tours, I want to say thank you on behalf of the Army. I want to say thank you on behalf of INSA, and I want to congratulate you tonight for being selected as the winner tonight for Outstanding Achievement. Please stand with all of us. Now, I told Josh we were going to adopt him tonight because and I asked him if he could sing the Army song, and he said no, and I said, well, it's okay, we're going to adopt you anyway. One of the things you would learn if I could go on, I know we people have to go, you've got things to do tonight, but one of the things you will learn is that 5 of 6 of the folks here play some sort of instrument. So I was thinking, and I'm calling these guys the Spartan 6. I'm thinking this is a boy band waiting to happen. Because I think, Amy, you're the only one that didn't say banjo. Oh, you play? Okay, so actually we're 6 for 6. So next year as a new tradition, you guys will come up and play the INSA theme song, which we can't wait for. But in any event, you are people of many, many talents. Our 5th nominee on our recipient for the William O. Studeman Award for Excellence Amongst Uniformed Services is Lieutenant Colonel William B. Fox, United States Navy. And Will is being recognized tonight for his significant contributions as an intelligence professional, for providing warfighters and senior leaders with comprehensive intelligence and analysis and support. Like Josh, he calls Texas home because apparently that is the default, not to pay taxes as a military brat. I'm just saying. And his dad in the Navy, he's also a product of a military family and moved around a great deal. Spent a lot of his formative time in the United States and Europe. But Will graduated from college in 2004, and I think his degree was in linguistics. Is that close? I told you, they're just going with it. And he was then went to OCS and was commissioned an intelligence officer. And as you'll see from his bio, over the next 10 years, puts a progression of jobs together, which is absolutely amazing, probably typical for our best naval intelligence officers, but absolutely astounding. When he was afloat, he served with USS Nimitz in the Pacific Command, USS Truman in support of Hurricane Katrina off the coast, Gulf Coast, and the USS George Washington in support of the Southcom counter-narcotics mission in the Caribbean Sea. While on shore, he wasn't exactly laying in a hammock, which is actually what all Army people think the Navy does when they're home, but we don't know, and we try not to confuse ourselves with the facts. But Will actually had an opportunity to serve as assistant naval attaché in Beijing. He was the senior intelligence officer in EUCOM at Jack Molesworth, which is a phenomenally important organization. And most recently, he serves as an analyst for the Nimitz Operational Intelligence Center, where he works for Admiral Train, and I know he is the focused effort on Chinese maritime sovereignty disputes, and none of that ever happens. Amazing officer, an amazing leader, fluent in Chinese, with advanced degrees from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. He is regarded by the Navy, which has such an amazing tradition of intelligence excellence, as one of its brightest stars. In addition to briefing Director Clapper and the DNI, he also briefed me, so I guess his life is complete. He is a man with a life beyond the military. He is married to the lovely Carly for the last 12 years. I think they got married. When you look at him, you're like, okay, in my state, you have to be at least 15. But they have told me they are of age. And it's like, Sergeant Major, let's just walk away and not ask any more questions. But they are the proud parents of 3 children, all under the age of 9. So, you know, they're all going to hit teenagers together, and then you're going to want to deploy again. And I said, well, how do your parents like you? You know, they must be very proud of you. So, well, Dad's a little bitter because he's a pilot and my brothers are pilots. Your brothers are going to retire. You're going to have a job to your dad. So, in any event, the favorite member of your family, our 5th honoree, please stand and be recognized, and congratulations to Will Fox. He's over here. You know, with the lights being what they are, I was thinking tonight you should have worn your whites. Okay, our last and our final honoree, Petty Officer Tyler Sherman of the United States Coast Guard, the recipient of the John Warner Homeland Security Award for first responders and intelligence professionals who are focused on our domestic homeland. An intelligence specialist for the Coast Guard is currently assigned out in Sacramento at the air station. He is being recognized tonight for his contributions and his ability to lead and inspire interagency efforts to stem the flow of illegal narcotics into the United States. He is described by his supervisors, and I think there's at least 1 or 2 here tonight, as one of the most natural, charismatic, and caring leaders they've met. And he's been instrumental at such a young age and such an early time in his career at building interagency bonds that have improved intelligence integration and fusion and substantially contributed to the interdiction of millions of dollars worth of illegal narcotics, as well as the arrest and prosecution of over 70 narco-terrorists. So, really, Mike Groom, the great two of the Marine Corps, we're feeling a little bad about our inboxes at this point. Tyler is the first member of his family to be in the IC, and he's joined tonight by two of his biggest fans, his father, Jeff, and his older brother, Chris, Chris, he actually did describe you as somebody he loved and admired very much. But he acknowledges that it is his brother and his father who have had the most positive impact on him. He's a native of Perrysburg, Ohio. He graduated from Bowling Green University with a degree in marketing. And while he was there, and I think he's the only one, I know we have a boy band. We have a nuclear scientist that has a chemical connection. But we also have a great baseball player. You, I believe, are the only one that has been inducted into your high school hall, playing 4 years, playing baseball in college, a phenomenal athlete. And I think what he learned on the playing fields, and it's really obvious that Dad had some influence there, because I asked him, how good was your son? He said, well, it's all about defense. And in any event, he was like, he's okay. He's just got to keep his, it's all about I'm like, yeah, he's up, Dad. But what you learn on the sport, what you learn on the field, and what you have brought to the Coast Guard is a natural love of teams, and an understanding of how those dynamics work, the importance of optimism and positive energy, a willingness, as all great leaders have, to move to friction and to overcome it. And I would imagine many of those lessons were learned at home and also on the playing field. When you graduated from college, I guess you went into the corporate world for a while, and the reason he's in the Coast Guard today is he had a friend who thought the Coast Guard intelligence was real cool. So wherever that friend is, we thank him. When we asked him about his most important mentors, he didn't talk about Da Vinci, and one of you had Da Vinci. My staff had to look that up. They weren't sure. But he talked about his grandfather. A man who that expanded his farm in order to raise his family of 5. And he talked about his dad, a man who raised he and his four siblings as a single parent and did just a magnificent job. So, Tyler, having earned MVP honors in the Coast Guard in his first assignment, it's going to be all uphill from here. He has many goals, and I unfortunately was the one that broke them to his father tonight. There's a master's degree in the works. There is a desire to work and do meaningful work in the intelligence community for many years. And then at the appropriate time, there is going to be a run for Congress and the Senate when we're going to get a few good men back there to help tell our story. Amen. When I asked him, I said, describe the most pivotal moment in your life so far. He just put, tonight, dumb. And if you ask what his leaders would say about him, his supervisors are effusive. What Tyler does is he builds teams. He gravitates to responsibility. He sees the hard problems. He's excited by them. He builds teams, and by his own example, he inspires excellence. Pretty good things for a young man in his first tour. Tyler, on behalf of us, congratulations to your dad and to your brother. Thank you for everything you've done to produce such an amazing, amazing public servant. And so those are our 6. Those are our 6. Those are their stories. Those are their amazing families. Those are the reasons that they're here. Those are the reasons that you're here today. President Wilson, who said a lot of great things to inspire us, said this, and he's also dead, and there's no one that I wasn't going to make any jokes about. He went to the gym with him, Ambassador Detrani. But President Wilson was reflecting one time on the importance of public service and a purposeful life. And he said that, you're not here merely to make a living. You're here to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You're here to enrich the world. You impoverish yourself if you get this evening. Tonight, as we think about these 6 individuals that we honor on this 5th annual NSA Achievement Awards, and we celebrate 5 and 6 unsung heroes to national security in our intelligence community, who by their efforts are contributing to the world, not merely making a living, but through their exertions, their expertise, their mentorship, their leadership, their enthusiasm, and their passion, are contributing substantively to our nation's defense. Tonight, these 6 join 30 others who have come before them, recognized not just for all the things that they've done, which is amazing, but for the promise of what they're going to accomplish for all of us in the future. To their families, friends, and mentors who have encouraged and supported this amazing 6, thank you for everything you've done to help them believe in themselves and go after their dreams. Your encouragement has inspired them, and I know that they're very grateful to you. To the members of this great organization, to INSA, the sponsors, and this great community, thank you for giving your time tonight to do what our great director talked about, which is make a commitment to our future. We should all leave uplifted. We should all leave knowing that we're in great hands, because this is the talent of these future generations, and they will see us through. You've heard it tonight. You've seen the future. This is an extraordinary class. So to the honorees, as I conclude, it's our sincerest congratulations for all that you've done and all that's ahead. We know that you're going to continue to do amazing things. We know that you're going to lead, you're going to coach, you're going to mentor, and you're going to explore the limits of the talent that God has given you. And as Franklin Roosevelt said, it's just fun to be in the same decade with you. So go forth and conquer, do great things. God bless all of you. Thank you very much.
Listen, I want you to know that General Legere said she had no prepared remarks, and she was going to be extemporaneous. This was very uplifting. General Legere, thank you so much. That meant so much to all of us. Director Clapper, thank you, sir, for your uplifting comments to the whole group, and certainly to the 6 honorees this evening. Thank you, sir. This is something from INSA to General Legere. We thank you so much for this keynote, and it means a great deal for us. Thank you, General Legere. Let me just say 2 things before we get the honorees up here. Let me just explain just a little about the awards and put it in context. Some of the background for tonight. As General Legere indicated, since 2010, we've started this program. Each year, INSA receives nominations from its members across government, academia, and industry. Individuals are nominated not only for their wonderful contributions to the field they're working in, but also for encouraging and inspiring their colleagues to strive for excellence. An extraordinary group of nearly 50 men and women were nominated this year. We're very impressive. All doing exceptional work in the IC and all very, very deserving. While they cannot be on the stage tonight, every nominee has clearly caught the eye of the colleagues or superior client, and we hope they are proud of that recognition. The INSA Achievement Awards Selection Committee, I was part of that, reviewed the nominations on the basis of leadership, influence, proficiency, values, team building, and personal intangibles. INSA would like to thank everyone who submitted a nomination for consideration, as well as those members who served on our selection committee. So now I'd like to welcome Rear Admiral Christopher Tomney, Assistant Commandant for Coast Guard Intelligence Criminal Investigations, to present the first award of the night to Senator John W. Warner Homeland Security Award, to Intelligence Specialist Second Class Tyler Sherman. Would you please come up?
Good evening, everyone. I'm actually here representing the DHS Undersecretary for Intel Analysis, the Honorable Frank Taylor, who we were hoping were going to be here tonight to also honor Petty Officer Sherman, but unfortunately got called away at the last moment. I think General Legere did an outstanding job telling you about the great contributions of Tyler on his first tour of duty. Let me just kind of fill in a little bit of the rest of the picture. Not only is Tyler on his first tour, been in the Coast Guard for a little over 2 years, he's also in that first 2 years has also seen his very first promotion from 3rd class to second class. Out there in Air Station Sacramento, he's the independent duty intel specialist. And since 2012, has really made the contributions to the point now that our operators out there air station are not turning any single propeller without the intelligence that Petty Officer Sherman provides to our operator. He really, truly is a testament to information sharing, has built up a great collaborative network with all our interagency partners at the federal, the state, the local, as well as the international partners out there in the Pacific region. So it's very much my distinct honor to represent the Homeland Security enterprise by presenting the Senator John Warner Homeland Security Award.
I think the general is right. You can't see anything up here. I'm an improv guy, and my command, knowing Admiral Tomney was going to be here, said, you better write a script, so don't say anything stupid. But good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to thank INSA, the sponsors, Director Clapper, General Legier, my family who is here tonight, my supervisor, Chief Jason Watson, and Admiral Tomney. When the top of the food chain takes the time out of their schedule to show support for a junior member, it really means a lot. And I can't thank you enough, Admiral Tomney. Thank you. It means a lot. Thank you. Excuse me. Also, the team at Coast Guard Air Station Sacramento, we're out there every night. You know, pretty much the night stalkers out there. And Coast Guard Intelligence and Coast Guard District 11, Coast Guard District 11 Intelligence, they're really the main reason why I'm up here. It's just a great network of intelligence professionals in the Pacific area. I'm truly humbled and honored to share the stage with the other awardees and to be associated with the John Warner Homeland Security Award. I wasn't exactly sure in 2012 when I reported to the air station what an intelligence specialist would do with a C-130 unit and being a non-aviator. And if I can tell you what it's like being a non-aviator, showing up at an aviation unit, it's like being the smelly kid at lunch no one wants to sit next to. The aviation community is a tightly knit group full of great people and has a great team attitude. I asked myself, how was I going to infiltrate this group? After all, I just recently learned at the time what a C-130 even looked like. You see, as an intelligence professional, we strive to make operations more efficient, more effective, and safer. How can we do this if we've never stood one day in the operator's shoes? How do we know what they need, what works, and how do we innovate for them? So I took it upon myself to qualify in an aircrew position, understanding what the mission was exactly, the dynamic of an aircrew, realizing the intelligence I needed was in each member of the air station. Over the last 2 years, I've provided relevant and timely intelligence to the C-130 community, only made possible by talking to the aircrew, standing in their shoes, and most importantly, listening to their issues, needs, and wants. I believe the intelligence community, we call these things intelligence requirements. I define insanity as doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I'm a baseball guy at heart. I come to work with a unique state of mind. It's the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded, and we're trailing by 3 runs. And I just talked to my dad, and he said this same thing. He didn't know it was in my speech, but he said, you're trailing by 1 run. Well, I see it as 3 runs, and I'm not a home run hitter. We're trailing by 3 runs against an unpredictable, ever-changing pitcher, my adversary. Sometimes I strike out, sometimes I hit a single, and sometimes I hit every kid's dream. The grand slam, and we win the game. But you see, tomorrow's a new day for that pitcher, and if I expect him to throw the exact same pitch sequence to me tomorrow, I've already lost the game for my team, my air crews, and the Coast Guard. Each day at the air station in the intelligence community is a new day with new challenges and new adversaries. As an intelligence specialist, it's absolutely imperative to continue to learn, because the moment you think you have the adversary all figured out, you're wrong. As Coach Valvano of the 1983 NC State NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, say that 3 times fast, team said, "Don't give up, don't ever give up, keep on fighting." So that's what I'll continue to do for my country, the Coast Guard, and Air Station Sacramento. Thank you again to the INSA Awards, General Legier, Director Clapper, and have a great night.
Well, let me say what a pleasure and honor it is to be here tonight to present this award to Lieutenant Will Fox, who's already been dramatically and extensively introduced by General Legier, who's also promoted, I think, Will, to a new rank in the Navy to Lieutenant Colonel, which I think is but that's all right. We share a lot of things in the intelligence field these days. Thanks, Will, for coming up on the stage here. I would also like to thank Admiral Liz Train, who's here tonight. You know, I look out on Will here, a proud lieutenant. First time I ever met Liz Train, we were serving together in the same command, and Liz was a lieutenant. So actually there is a future in this great field. Will is the team leader of maritime strategy and plans at the Nimitz Operational Intelligence Center at Commander O&I at Suitland. And his achievements have already been partially spoken to, I think, as I've already said. He's provided critical insights into foreign naval leadership, planning, and operations, and his insightful and clear analysis has directly influenced naval plans. He has addressed and spoken to many leaders, many of which, again, have been spoken to from General Clapper on down. I think also one of the things that he's unique in the sense that he was selected to go participate with Andy Marshall, who's the director of OSD Net Assessment in a special project. So his reputation had preceded him. He's the only person, essentially, from Will's background that's essentially ever been able to do that. He's in the context of his presentations, he has also prepared the CNO for several interactions with the PLA Navy leadership. In fact, the CNO has been very busy. I think he's seen Admiral Wu twice in China and twice here just in the last 8 months. So Will is a major cog in the context of trying to understand the PLA Navy and China's maritime strategy and policy and plans, for which, in the context of our response, he has dramatically impacted. So it's a great pleasure for me able to, again, recognize Lieutenant Will Fox as the recipient of this award.
Start out just by thanking Ambassador Detrani, Director Clapper, General Legier, and Admiral Studeman. I could probably spend the next 3 minutes that I have thanking people who are responsible for getting me here, but I need to also include Admiral Train. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the nomination and for the support of the command. And to my wife, Carly, for pulling more than her fair share of our load. We've got 3 kids, and she has her own profession that she manages. So my mentor, Captain Dale Relog, and Mr. Lynn Wright, Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence, who have entrusted me with great professional opportunities. And then, of course, to Admiral Studeman for being here in person to present the award. It is a huge honor. So I did not expect always to be in this sort of situation. About 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I was a 4th grade teacher, inner city Chicago, teaching at a school in a South Asian neighborhood. Which was wonderful. It's a wonderfully diverse school, and I loved that job. But by my 2nd year teaching, I got to the point where I had the curriculum down pretty well, except for the handwriting part. And I decided that I probably was not going to continue to be intellectually challenged for the next 20 years of a career there. And so I decided I wanted to do something that would continue to matter, but in which I wouldn't get tired of doing. That would never be repetitive, where I'd be constantly challenged to learn new things. And so I joined the Navy as an intelligence officer, and it has surpassed my expectations greatly. The Navy has kept its side of the bargain, has assigned me to analytic, diplomatic, and operational positions around the world, and most importantly and the best for my education in Beijing. And every few years, the Navy puts me in a new job against a new problem set, but it trains me to do it, and I'm very grateful for that. It lets me work with some amazing men and women who I'm honored to consider my peers and colleagues. So I think, in fact, that's the best part of the job, is that I get to work with people who are really intelligent, who are ambitious, and who are honorable, and I get to learn from them. I also can't believe that I actually get paid to do something that I love, that I would want to do anyway. So I feel like I won the lottery by having a job where my work actually matters, and I'm constantly challenged to learn new things. And winning an award for doing something like that it's the cherry on top. So thank you again for the chance to be here tonight, and for the huge honor of being selected for the 2014 William O. Studeman Award, and just for what that does in associating me with such a great legacy of service. Thank you.
David Wilson was described rather explicitly by the general earlier, and it's hard because the NSA description of his work is kind of like 3 lines long. It's obtuse. You could not penetrate it no matter how hard you tried. What I would like to say, though, it clearly is about counterterrorism. It clearly involves the most difficult targets that we face, and the problem of trying to find both the collection techniques and the analytic tools to deal with that problem, and that's what David has been involved in. So, and successfully. And this is, as you know, the terrorist target is one which knows a great deal about how to protect themselves. They're very careful in how they do things. So the techniques used and the intelligence collection that's needed to go at them, and the analytic techniques that's used to deal with the information we get, is really very complicated. So, I mean, that's about as far as we can go, but what you can fill in the blanks for yourself.
It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and it's a great honor to get to know Josh Marco and the wonderful achievements that he has had in his very young and very brief career. Like Dick Kerr, I was hired to work for this government in the latter years of the Eisner administration. So it really is a remarkable time. Josh, General Legere, covered a great deal of his life. A couple of facts that maybe she didn't cover. He's a graduate in electrical engineering, University of Texas at Austin. He's also a Georgia Tech, where he got his master's in engineering. I think it's important that we know a little bit about Edwin Land. You know, we say William Oliver Baker as if we knew who he was. Edwin Land was a chap who went off to Harvard College as a young man, left before he graduated, formed his own lab, and later Harvard gave him an honorary doctorate. And of course, during World War II, he focused very much on light polarization. And in World War II, he worked on night vision goggles. After the war, he was a key player that worked tirelessly on some of the camera aspects of the U-2 Dragon Lady, which probably Dick Kerr recalls as well. So it is, we have to remember for whom these awards are really named, whether it's John Warder, Dick Kerr, Bill Studeman, or even people who came much earlier like Edwin Land. Now, Josh is truly an amazing individual. He has worked in high-frequency geolocation programs in his career at Northrop Grumman, where he has now, of course, as General Legere said, he's the chief engineer, dealing with the program, dealing with airborne and terrestrial SIGINT. He is a specialist on SIGINT geolocation. He is a specialist on antennas, where he has worked on programs to shrink the size of antennas by 100-fold. That's pretty darn amazing when you think about antennas and the collection. Working guardrail, he's working on versions much later than the version that we worked on years ago when we tasked again and again the guardrail, whether it was Vietnam or whether it was later in later conflicts. It strikes me that we really are, it's very important that we, as Dick Kerr said, recognize the value of industry and what industry, this partnership where we work in our respective roles and lanes, but it's very vital that we have this linkage through associations like the Intelligence and National Security Alliance. So it is, he has done really advanced work and development with IARPA, which you all know was established under the Director of National Intelligence. And IARPA declared his work the best in the class. I mean, what higher praise could you get? So it's my honor tonight to present to Josh the Industry Award of INSA, and his achievements have just begun. He's a very young man who's going to do some tremendous work. He is in Sacramento. His wife cannot be here tonight. They have a 4-month-old baby, and I think we all understand why she cannot accompany him here to Washington. But I know that his family, his wife has him very much in mind tonight as we honor Joshua Marca.
So apparently I brought smaller notes than everybody else. First of all, I would like to thank everybody here, INSA in particular, General Legier for her kind remarks, and Director Clapper. I'd also like to thank the NG team that I've been a part of for the past 7 years, not only for their guidance and their mentorship, but also for their nomination tonight. It's been an honor to serve or work alongside such a talented and dedicated group of individuals on a legacy system such as Guardrail to produce an outstanding system that has gone to the field and, as General Legier said, make an actual difference in the fight. My joining the IC was kind of a long process. As General Legier alluded to, when I was younger, my dad had a PhD in electrical engineering, so we would take lots of things apart to figure out how they worked. And following a legacy from my grandfather and my father, I decided it would be fun to join the Air Force, learn a little bit how things work. And when they wouldn't let me take anything apart, I decided it was time to try to build something, and so I left the Air Force and joined Northrop Grumman. And it's actually been a great adventure to work alongside such a talented team and build the intelligence systems that we use today out in the field. As I stand here today and I received the Edwin Land Award, the strongest thing that I have is a sense of humility. It takes a large team to build a complex system, whether it be working in geolocation for HF signals or whether it be working on Guardrail. And that team is very dedicated and has a long legacy of producing great systems. And I feel very honored and very humbled to be a part of that team once again. And so I guess in conclusion, once again, my notes are much shorter. I would just like to say thank you again to both INSA and to Northrop Grumman. And then also, as many people mentioned, my wife, who is home with my daughter. Her support is unwavering in everything that she does for me, both following me in my military career and then also out to Sacramento to be in Northrop. And without her, I know I would never be up here today. So once again, thank you.
I am honored and humbled to represent Dr. Drell in the presentation of the 2014 Sidney Drell Academic Achievement Award. This award recognizes leadership, potential for growth, impact on the profession through academic contribution, mission accomplishment, and emerging professional standing and influence. As the 2001 William Oliver Baker Award recipient, Dr. Drell stated it best: "Our national security requires the best possible intelligence, and the best possible intelligence benefits tremendously from the best possible science." I believe that this year's recipient, Craig Weiner, exemplifies the qualities required of a Sidney Drell Award winner. General Legere spoke very eloquently of Craig's background. I'm just going to expand on it a little bit. It's very impressive. Craig is currently a doctoral candidate at George Mason University's Graduate School of Public and International Affairs. He has a master's degree in biodefense and homeland security from George Mason, a BA from NYU, and he attended New York Law School. In 2013, he was selected as a nuclear scholar by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, or CSIS. As a nuclear scholar at CSIS, Craig performed groundbreaking research into the feasibility of uranium-233 as a fissile material, which he published in a paper entitled "Feasibility of Uranium-233 Proliferation Pathways for Nuclear Weapons Aspirant States." This research has helped the intelligence community to better focus its limited collection and analytic resources against the enduring threat of nuclear weapons proliferation. In addition, Craig is working as a graduate teaching assistant for General Hayden at George Mason's Graduate School of Public Policy. As a teaching assistant, Craig developed lectures on weapons of mass destruction programs and the use of open source intelligence, and provided research direction to many students. Craig's technical accomplishments and his combination of stellar technical, policy, and legal educational background sets him apart from his peers. Please join me in recognizing Craig Weiner as the 2014 Sidney Drell Academic Award recipient.
Wow, that's a heck of a build-up. So I put together a few remarks. So first of all, thank you, everyone. Ambassador Detrani, General Legere, thank you, General Clapper, and Mr. Allen, and everyone, quite honestly. There's so many distinguished people in the room that it's a little bit overwhelming. So if you bear with me for a moment, I'll just try to get through some remarks, and then we'll be well on our way here. So I'm grateful and humbled to be here this evening to accept the 2014 INSA Sidney D. Drell Academic Award for contributions to national security and intelligence. Under any circumstances, being presented with an award is a special life event, yet it's an overwhelming honor to receive an award named after legendary Dr. Drell, who served our country and continues, by the way, to serve our country with distinction in so many ways over his astonishing career. Dr. Drell took the time out of his very busy schedule to call and congratulate me a week ago, and invited me to spend some time next week with him when he's in town. I've actually been invited to the Jasons, so to spend some time with him, which is amazing. Dr. Drell's 88 years old now, and quite frankly provides a sterling example of meaningful long-term service at the confluence of national security, cutting-edge applied science, academia, and leadership that's inspirational. The award I'm receiving this evening speaks to an ongoing dedication and kindness bestowed upon me by an incredible group of mentors, colleagues, and friends. Really, they're part of my extended family now, and I know in my heart that I'd not be standing in front of you this evening without their kindnesses. So I'd like to briefly mention several individuals and groups that have guided me through my career so far, which is just starting, really. I was a change of career student, so I want to let you know, anyone that wants to change their career, you can, right? So, first, I'd like to thank the organizations that have made it possible for me to be standing here. INSA, George Mason University. Most of my life revolves around it. I've met my wife through George Mason, some of my great friends. CSIS, of course, and the Department of Energy National Nuclear Security Administration. I'm proud to identify myself as a member of these organizations. I would like to thank Linda Melis for her continued personal and professional mentorship over the last 7 years of my academic and professional career. For those of you who know Linda, and likely all of you do, I do not think I'm overstating the case when I say that she's a treasure. I'd like to thank General Michael V. Hayden for allowing me to serve as his teaching assistant for the last 3 years and for his service as a member of my dissertation committee. It has simply been the most amazing educational experience in my life. He's taught me so many things. I'm beyond grateful to him. Similarly, I'd like to thank ARFL Director George Duchak, and that's the Rome Information Directorate, in whom I found a true friend, a colleague, a mentor. George, together with his wife Sonia, have taught me, my wife Rachel and I, just what dedicated public service means together as a team. And finally, I'd like to thank Mr. Larry Small, who is currently the Brookings Legis Fellow in the Senate on the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. He's a colleague at DOE and NSA. He's spending a year up there on the Hill, without whom I would be nowhere. Larry and I met, we were students in molecular bacteriology at George Mason 7 years ago while he was a colonel at Titra. I used to spend nights, he would stay, he lives in Fredericksburg, and he would stay in the parking lot while I was thinking about changing my career at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night in winter. Class would be done at 10, he'd stand in the parking lot talking to me. And he's here tonight, and I get a chance to work with him. So that's what friendship, that's what mentorship, that is what dedication is. So he really embodies all of that. He continues to be a role model in unfailing faith, steadfast friendship, incredible work ethic, and public service. Finally, I want to say a few words about the Department of Energy and the National Nuclear Security Administration. I'm constantly amazed by the intellect, world-class expertise, and dedication of the personnel working at DOE, NNSA, and the National Laboratory System for our interagency partners and the American people. Their contributions to our national defense are typically quiet, inspirational, essential, and incalculable. I promise to honor and protect their efforts each and every day. On a personal note, I was notified I won this award while I was on my honeymoon with my sensational wife, Rachel. So it's been the best month of my life overall. It really has. I love you, honey. Thank you.
But this has just been an extraordinary evening, and I want to thank General Legere for her comments. Tonight is about these 6 award winners, and I can't imagine anyone who could have teed them up for us and given us insight into who they are and what drives them than your presentation. So thank you very much for that. I also want to make the point that I came to Washington in the Reagan administration. I am delighted to share the stage tonight with Amy Pittman. It's been my pleasure to read about her and then tonight to get to meet her. To be a good mentor, you have to start with being a great professional, and that is exactly what Amy is. You also have to take risk, whether it's as a Georgia State trooper or as the head of a mobile interrogation unit who's deployed once domestically and at least 5 times overseas. Amy takes risk in her own professional career, and she helps mentor people to take risk in their careers, and that's how we advance and grow. So Amy really has an extraordinary record as a supervisory special agent and a certified intelligence officer in the FBI. But she gets comments from her team, many of whom are here tonight, about how she mentors them and helps them grow as professionals. Amy also has broken the code that if you're a great mentor, you also help improve the intelligence capabilities of your unit. And her team has been noted for the extraordinary intelligence that they have produced in their mobile interrogation unit, in this combined unit of human collectors, intelligence analysts, and technicians. So it is my great honor tonight to be able to present this mentorship award on behalf of INSA to Amy Pittman. Amy.
I'll be the one that drops it, right? Last one of the evening, I promise to make it short. First, let me say I was not invited to your house for dinner. Yet. No. Good evening, Ambassador Detrani and distinguished guests. It's a privilege to receive the Joan A. Dempsey Mentorship Award, and I want to thank Ms. Joan Dempsey and the INSA for this honor. I also want to thank the High Value Detainee Interrogation Group, the HIG, and the FBI for providing me with the opportunities to deploy and to work with amazing intelligence professionals. As a young agent in the FBI, I was blessed to have trusted mentors who provided guidance and direction. They inspired confidence and commitment through example and experience. It's because of their influence I am the agent I am today. At times, I didn't think I was a good mentor. I wasn't sure I wanted to or had the skill to be a mentor. I remember after 9/11, I found myself teaching agents how to operate sources, investigate international terrorism, and work with other agencies. Yes, the FBI working with other agencies. In time, these agents began to experience great successes, awards, promotions. They were developing quality sources and contributing to the intelligence community. And personally, I would look at them progress through the ranks and say, what about me? A friend who was aware of the agent's success remarked to me, what better gift can you give to the FBI and the greater intelligence community than to leave it stronger than when you arrived? What better gift can you offer than to teach others so that they become better than you? Are you paying forward the gift that was given to you? This was a pivotal point in my career. My outlook changed from looking at myself and in turn looking at the greater good around me. When we mentor and teach and enhance those around us, the team is strengthened. To achieve our goal of national security, we must have a team of individuals whose primary objective is service to our country. When others learned of this award, an FBI agent whom I mentored emailed me. He told me how appreciative he was, and how I helped him along in his career, and that now he was the program coordinator of one of the major offices in the FBI. In his position, he said, I'm a mentor and I'm paying it forward. As I look around the room, I see many mentors. Pay it forward. Thank you.
The awardees, the presenters, Director James Clapper, General Legier, all of you, what a great experience this has been. It's been truly uplifting. I mean, what an evening. So from us at INSA, from the greater team, all of you here, we want to thank you. And again, to our awardees, well done. We're in good hands. This country's in good hands, as Director Clapper said. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.